Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name Muhammad Mansukhani Anwar 2019224544. Today I'm going to present my lab report on the experiment observation on the microstructure of the cast iron. So let's go. Apparatus on this experiment. First, metal grade microscope. Second, 4 types of sample. For the safety equipment, you need to use the neutral glove and face mask. So, something like this. Okay, that's all for the safety. Okay, for the procedure, firstly, switch on the computer. Next, click the eye isolation light times 64 icon, image capture icon, and choose live measure icon. And then switch on the microstructure, put the sample on the workstage, place the sample under the magnification lens, bring up the workstage by adjusting the chorus focus slowly until the sample close up to the magnification lens. Adjust the optical lens according to both of your eyes until the image will clear. Bring down the workstage by adjusting the coarse focus slowly until the image appears on the computer interface. Adjust the sample image to more clear. You can adjust the focus by using the fine focus adjuster. To zoom in the image on the sample surface, change the projector lens by spinning the projection lens. Continue the observation on every sample. Lastly, switch off the microstructure and computer after use. That's all for the procedure. Okay, next we will move on to discussion. Okay. Brief difference between steel and iron with reference to their carbon percentage and hardness. We start with steel. Carbon percentage, you can divide by 3. Low carbon steel, less than 0.25% of carbon. Medium carbon steel, 0.25 to 0.6% of carbon. And lastly, high carbon steel, 0.6 to 1.4% of carbon. For the hardness, the microstructure of steel are normally ferrite and relatively soft and weak, but good ductility and toughness. For the cast iron, carbon percentage greater than 2.14% of carbon. For the hardness, excellence, wear resistant, and high hardness. Okay, we move on to B. On the basic of microstructure, briefly explain why gray cast iron is brittle and weak in tension. Okay, the answer. Gray cast iron has a graphitic microstructure. In the structure, graphitic has a flake shape. It might cause the gray cast iron in the metal to resist to a weaker area. The tensile strength of gray cast iron is low. There is a stress concentration at the tip of the flaky graphite that makes them brittle in nature. C. Compare white and nodal cast iron with respect to A. Composite, B. Microstructure, and C. Mechanical characteristic. We start with white cast iron. Composition 2.5 to 4% of carbon and silicon below than 1%. Microstructure polite and cementite. Mechanical characteristic excellent compressive strength and strong hardness and strength at higher temperature are perceived. For nodal cast iron, composition 0.05% of magnesium, 2.5 to 4% of carbon, 1.0 to 3.0% of silicon, 0.1 to 1.2% of manganese. For the microstructure, graphite flakes surrounded by alpha ferrite or pearlite matrix. Mechanical characteristic, exhibition high ductility, elastic modulus, mechanical strength, and resist to corrosion. Conclusion in this experiment. In this experiment, optical microscope used to find the microstructure of cast iron was achieved. There are four types of sample used in this experiment. First, sample 11 is nodal cast iron. Sample 12 is white cast iron. Sample 13 is gray cast iron. And lastly, sample 14 is malleable cast iron. Next, identify the classification of the cast iron according to the characteristic of the microstructure obtained was achieved. Sample 11 is nodal cast iron, and the microstructure is spherical like graphite structure in pearlite or ferritic matrix. The composition of sample 11 is magnesium and serum was added to the gray cast iron composition before casting. Next, sample 12. What Next, sample 12 is white cast iron. The microstructure in pearlite and cementite. The composition of sample 12 is 2.5 to 4% of carbon and silicon less than 1%. Then, sample 13 is gray cast iron because the microstructure surrounded by graphite flakes, alpha ferrite, or pearlite matrix. The composition of sample 13 contains carbon 2.5 to 4% of carbon and 1 to 3% of silicon. Lastly, sample 14 is malleable cast iron because the microstructure in clumps of graphite and surrounded by a ferrite or pearlite matrix. The composition of sample 14 is chromium 0.01 to 0.3%, boron 0.002%, copper less than 1.0%, and nickel 0.5 to 0.8%. That's all for the conclusion. Thank you.